Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dig into the nitty-gritty of corporate filings to find the real story. Our latest dive is into Westin Acquisition Corp S-1 filing, and let S just say this SPAC is trying to make a splash, or maybe just looking for a piggyback ride to the public markets. So, Westin Acquisition Corp is basically a blank check company, meaning it is set up with the sole purpose of finding another company to merge with, essentially taking that company public. They've raised a good chunk of money, around $50 million, and they are on the hunt for a target business. But are they hunting wisely? Let's see what the numbers tell us. Alright, first things first, this filing is dated the 10th of October 2025, and it is an amendment to their registration, meaning they already filed stuff before. This is their third go at it, so they are definitely serious about getting this done. They are offering 5 million units, with each unit being a package deal, one Class A ordinary share and one right. Now this right is interesting. It is a token that gives you the right to get a fraction of a Class A ordinary share later, specifically 1/6 of a share upon the successful completion of their big business combination. They are selling these units for $10 each, which means they are aiming to raise $50 million right off the bat. On top of that, they've given the underwriters an option to buy even more units, which could bring in another $7.5 million if things go exceptionally well. Now, who is behind this whole operation? It is Westin Investment Company Limited, a company from the Cayman Islands. They the sponsor, which means they are deeply involved and have put in some of their own money, buying units for $10 a pop, which is the same price as everyone else. But here is where it gets a little spicy. They also bought a bunch of Class B shares for just $25,000. That is a tiny fraction of a penny per S-hair. This means they have a massive incentive to close a deal, even if it is not the absolute best for public shareholders, because their initial investment is practically nothing. It's a classic SPAC playbook, giving insiders a tremendous advantage. This is a huge point for any investor. The filing explicitly warns that this small initial investment by the sponsor could lead to significant dilution for public investors. It means the sponsor is likely to make a substantial profit, even if the company's stock price drops after the merger. They are basically getting a much better deal on their initial shares compared to what we will pay. This is why understanding the sponsor's stake and their incentives is crucial. Right after this IPO, Westin S founders and sponsor will own about 28% of the company. This is a considerable chunk, giving them a lot of influence. And because they are a Cayman Islands company with a significant foreign interest, they flagged a potential issue with us foreign investment regulations, like reviews by CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. This may limit their target options, especially for us companies. They are aiming to get their units listed on Nasdaq, a pretty standard move for SPACs. The ticker symbol they are targeting is WSTN. Once the shares and rights can be traded separately, they hope for WSTN for the shares and WSTN, R for the rights. Nasdaq approval is a big deal, and it is a requirement for this whole deal to even go through. Let's peek at some financial stuff, even though they have not really done anything yet. Looking at their balance sheet as of the 30th of June 2025, they had very little cash on hand, just $200,000. They also had a working capital deficit, meaning their liabilities were higher than their liquid assets, around $184,000. This is typical for a company in this stage, but it highlights why this offering is so important. They need that $50 million to actually do anything. They reported a net loss of $9,475 for the period. This basically covers their initial setup costs. The money spent just to get the company registered and ready for this filing. Nothing major here, just the basic cost of doing business before you even start. Here is a look at dilution, and it is a big one. The net tangible book value, or what your share is actually worth on paper, ends up being a deficit of about 9 cents per S-hair before the offering even happens. After the offering, even with all the money coming in, the table shows that the net tangible book value per S-hair will be around $6.16, but the offering price is $10 per unit. That means a hefty dilution, especially if redemptions happen. The difference between the book value and the offering price is almost $4 per S-hair when the over-allotment option is not exercised. That's a huge chunk of immediate value wiped out just by the structure of the deal and the sponsor S-cheap shares. The dilution can go up to a massive 87% if the offering is fully subscribed and redemptions are high. Ouch. So, where is all that money going after expenses? About $50 million will go into a special trust account. This is standard for SPACs. It's basically a safety net for investors. The money can only be used for a business combination or to return to shareholders if they don't find a deal. Out of the money not in the trust, About $320,000 is earmarked for expenses related to finding and doing due diligence on a target business. This includes travel, legal fees, and accounting. It's not a massive amount for finding a whole company, but it's what they have to work with outside the trust. A key risk here is that when they do find a target business, they need to provide financial statements. If that target company can't provide them in the right format, like US GAAP, then Westin might not be able to do the deal. This could limit their options and potentially cause them to miss their deadline. And here is a classic conflict of interest warning. The people running this SPAC have other jobs and responsibilities. This means they might not be able to give Westin Acquisition Corp all the attention it needs. This could slow down their search for a target and potentially harm the company's chances of success. It is important to remember that their commitment to Westin might not be their top priority. Reiterating this critical point, the sponsor got their initial shares for practically nothing. This gives them a huge upside and a strong motivation to do any deal, rather than necessarily the best deal, to recoup their investment and make a profit even if the combined company struggles. Even though they have no real operations, they still need an auditor. Audit Alliance LLP put their stamp on these financials, but they also added a crucial warning. There is substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue as a going concern. This means if they don't raise more money or find a deal quickly, they might struggle to stay afloat. They are counting on this offering and finding a merger to solve their going concern issue. It is a standard challenge for SPACs, but it puts a lot of pressure on them to execute quickly and effectively. The future of the company hinges on finding that right business combination. So, what is the verdict on Westin Acquisition Corp? They are playing the SPAC game with all the usual components: a sponsor with a huge incentive, a clear warning about dilution, and a ticking clock to find a business. The risks are laid out pretty clearly in this filing, from potential CFIOS hurdles to the inherent conflicts of interest. The financial data, as expected for a pre-operation SPAC, is thin, but the dilution numbers are eye-opening. Ultimately, like any SPAC, success here relies entirely on the management team's ability to find a solid target and execute a good deal within their timeframe. They have the money to start, but the clock is ticking, and the path ahead is full of challenges and potential pitfalls. Alright, that is our breakdown of Westin Acquisition Corp SS-1 filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company? S-Future, drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.